Educated, trained, led, and equipped military force the world has ever known. Average age is 20 and a half years. About 50% of them are already married, and about 50% of them already have children. In addition to their high school diploma, they've been taught chemistry and physics and ballistics and electronics and avionics, and they operate and maintain and use the most sophisticated equipment and weaponry the world has ever known. They can use their bodies like weapons, they can use weapons like they're part of their bodies, and they can take a life or save one with it because they have been so remarkably well trained. They go to work wearing a 7-pound Kevlar helmet, a 48-pound flak jacket, a 50-pound pack on their backs with water and ammunition and food in it, and it's 110 degrees in the average day in the land called Mesopotamia or in Helmand province. How many of you ever raised a teenage boy? Let me see a show of hands. I used to do this till Betsy caught me once. She said, "No, you didn't. I did that. You were gone." Think about getting a teenage boy to make his own bed, do his own laundry, fix all of his own meals, take care of the house, do all the repairs necessary, then go out on an 18-hour mission and come back and do the same thing without planting a size 10 in his backside. That youngster who once would not share a candy bar with his little brother will now give away his last drop of water to a wounded comrade. To give his only ration to a hungry Iraqi kid and is splitting his ammo with a mate in a firefight because he knows it's going to keep them both alive. At 20 and a half years of age, he will have had more responsibility in combat than the CEO of any company or any politician will ever have the rest of their lives. And they provide daily evidence of the power of faith, of courage, and the power of prayer, the likes of which I've never seen. Now, I want you to understand something. Not one of those photographs that you just saw on the screen was staged. Not one photograph that's in those books, the American Hero series of books, is faked. I've spent my entire life, from the time I was born, when my dad was at Fort Sam Houston in World War II, to today, in the presence of people serving their country in uniform. I've either been in it or around it all my life. I have never seen so much evidence of the power of prayer as I see today. Their qualities are courage and commitment and faith, the likes of which I've never seen. An institution of our society where a remarkable number of them come from godly homes and who've made a commitment to serve their country in a self-sacrificial way that is practically biblical. They also demonstrate a quality that you see on the screen called compassion. True Christian compassion. What you see on the screen is a frame from footage I shot on the 6th of April, 2003. Baghdad is the smoke pall you see in the background. The rifle company with which I was embedded has just been ambushed by a Republican Guards regiment about 15 miles south of the city of Baghdad. In the midst of the gunfight, the corpsman rushes out into the gunfight, and the Marines spin around their vehicles to put a little bit more offset, because those are not hardened Humvees, as we now call them. Those are soft sides. To put a little more distance between them and the 50 caliber machine gun rounds and the RPGs that are flying all through the air. And the corpsman rushes out in the battlefield to pick up wounded Marines, put battle dressings on them, put them over his shoulder, and carry them to a helicopter, and I'm now standing on the ramp of the helicopter. The third one he carries off the battlefield is this one you see here. What you can't see is off the right-hand side of the screen is a Reuters news crew that has rushed up from further back in the column. And they set the tripod up and they capture him going onto the helicopter carrying this wounded fighter. If you look carefully at that photograph, you will notice that's not a wounded Marine. He's got U.S. military battle dressings on, applied by that Navy corpsman, a medic, in the parlance of the Army and the Air Force. But that's a Republican Guardsman that he's just risked his life to save. He puts him on the ramp of the helicopter, and just like the previous Marines he'd carried aboard, the wounded Republican Guardsman's wrapped in a shock blanket. They start an IV with his remarkable blood expanders, and they treat him exactly the same as the wounded Marines. The helicopter takes off, and the corpsman runs back into the battle, and I'm now behind him, trying to keep up. And I hear the Reuters news crew shout off to the right, "Hey, mate, what did you do that for? Didn't you notice he was an Iraqi?" In other words, you stupid American. David, because this is polite company, I have to put it this way. The corpsman gives a gesture to the Reuters news crew. You know, David, they're not supposed to get that part. He gives a gesture to the Reuters news crew, then he says, didn't you notice he was wounded? That's what we do. We're Americans.